Welcome back to another episode of The Source. Yesterday's game sucked. I finished down 0.17 units, which obviously isn't bad for a shitty night of games. Tonight, 11 games. I'm going through all of them, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's do it.
Welcome to The Source. Hey, get the source. The Source. The Source. Hey, get the source.
First game up, Pacers, Heat in Indiana, and the line opened Indiana plus 1.5. Early bets of money were on the Heat, but look at all that sharp money coming on the Pacers in the late morning. I think it's something like 81% of money at noon was in on Indiana. Total opened at 216.5, right? The money is on the under, but for some reason the number goes up to 218, and obviously even more money comes in on the under. It seems like everyone's betting the under because of Miami, right? I mean, they've been a slow-paced defensive team. Everyone's betting the under. Looks like the books are trying to trap everyone and get all that under money in and clean everyone out. Looks a little trappish. First spreadsheet is saying Heat by 5, so a pretty decent lean on Miami here. Second sheet saying 223 points scored in this game, so a slight lean on the over. Couple injury concerns in this game. The following players are questionable: Gabe Vincent, Kendrick Nunn, Doug McDermott, and Jeremy Lamb. First two for Miami, second two for the Pacers. None of these are game breakers, but they are role players, so it's something you might want to keep an eye on. I'm going with Miami here at home, and I know the Heat haven't looked good at all recently. They did just beat the Knicks. I don't trust the Pacers at all. I don't know what's wrong with that team. They have a pretty solid roster, but they suck, man. So I'm going to put a half unit on Miami minus 1.5, and I'm going to put another half unit on the over at 218. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next game up is Pistons Blazers in Detroit, and this line opened Detroit getting 7 at home here. A lot of points for the Pistons. Sharp money's all over the Blazers, as you would expect. Consensus line jumps from 7 up to 7.5. Total opened at 221, and there was some sharp money on the over early, but it eventually evened out. The number never moves from 221. First spreadsheet has the Pistons favored by 3.8, I think. So a heavy lean. They're saying the Pistons should win this game. I'm not buying it, but the numbers don't lie. Heavy lean on Detroit here. Second spreadsheet says 218 points scored in this game. Way too close to call. I will not be touching the total in this game. Injury concerns in this game are Wayne Ellington and Dennis Smith Jr. are questionable for the Pistons, and Nasir Little for Portland will not be playing. Again, none of them really game breakers for me. I'm just going to follow the sheet and put a half unit on Detroit plus 7.5 here. Portland's look good, and I think they're going to keep getting better. But Detroit has a knack for keeping games close and covering as an underdog, especially at home. So give me the 7.5 points for a half unit. I'm not touching the total. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next up is Nets Rockets in Brooklyn. Line open with the Nets laying 14 points at home. Huge line here, but some sharp money came in on the Rockets, and the line dropped all the way down to 12.5. Now, when it hits 12.5, we do see some Nets money start to come in. Same story with the total. It opened at 232.5, and a bunch of money came in on the under, dropped 2 whole points down to 230.5. Now, at that number, we do see some money coming in on the over. Spreadsheets got the Nets favored by only 4 here, so heavy lean on the Rockets there. Second spreadsheet says 219 points scored in the game, so another heavy lean, this time on the under. Injury concerns in this game are all on Houston's side. Christian Wood and Daniel House looks like they're going to play. They're listed as probable. John Wall listed as questionable, though. Not really crazy about this game at all. So what I'm going to do is, if John Wall doesn't play, I'm going to bet the under at 230.5 for a half unit. If he does play, I may still bet the under, but there's a good chance I stay away from this game completely if John Wall plays. I'll keep everyone posted on Twitter and Instagram if anything changes. Next game. Next game up, Celtics, Mavericks in Boston, and this line opened Boston plus 1.5 at home. Had the Celtics as home dogs here. Check this out. So the early money's in on the Mavericks, right? Look what happened in the late morning. A flood of Celtics money comes in, and the line moves an entire 2.5 points from Boston plus 1.5 all the way to Boston minus 1. The books did not like that Celtics money, man. The total in this game is looking like a complete trap. Opened at 224.5, and the money's on the over, but the number still drops 2 points to 222.5. Looks like they're trying to trap everyone on the over, to be honest. Spreadsheets got the Celtics favored by 1.5 points here, with the new point spread at Boston minus 1. Not really a lean there. Second sheet saying 232 points scored in the game, So a pretty solid lean on the over, but we just established that the over might be a trap. Injuries in this game, Jaylen Brown is listed as questionable, so that's a factor. Tristan Thompson is out, but he hasn't been having the greatest season anyway, so I'll file that as a non-factor. I like the Celtics in this game, whether Jaylen Brown plays or not, so I'm going to take Boston -1 for a half unit. Now, I know I said the over might be a trap, but I'm walking right into it. I like the over, so I'm going to take the over at 222.5 for another half unit. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next game up, Thunder Raptors in OKC, and this line opened with the Thunder getting 7.5 points at home here. Sharp money all over the Raptors. Consensus line moves from 7.5 up to 8. Sharp money still all over the Raptors. The total in this game moved from 222.5 up to 223. Sharp money is on the over. First spreadsheet says OKC should be favored by 2. That just shows you how bad the Raptors have been, that they're projected to lose to the Thunder. Second sheet says 227 points scored in the game. Too close to call for me. I won't be touching the total on this one. Ton of injuries on the Oklahoma City side in this game. SGA is obviously still out. Mike Muscala out. Dort out. Al Horford isn't even playing anymore. Darius Bazley also out. OKC's been having a lot of bad luck recently. I am staying away from this game completely. Not touching the point spread, not touching the total. I can't bet the Thunder right now with all these injuries, and I can't bet the Raptors. I don't trust them at all, especially laying 7.5, 8 points. So staying away completely. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next game up, New York Knicks basketball. We got Timberwolves, Knicks in Minnesota. This line opened with the Timberwolves getting 3 at home here. Sharp money's all over the Knicks. Consensus lines moves from 3 up to 3.5. Sharp money still seems to be coming in on the Knicks. Total is at 218.5, right? Sharp money's on the over all morning and no movement. Not 219, not 219.5. It doesn't move at all with all that money. Seems a little sketchy. Seems the books like the under here. First spreadsheet has the Timberwolves favored by 0.3, so basically a pick 'em, so a slight lean to Minnesota there. Second spreadsheet says 209 points scored in this game, so a decent lean towards the under. Only significant injury in this game is Derrick Rose is listed as questionable. Now, Elfrid Payton is healthy now for the Knicks, so not having Derrick Rose in the lineup isn't nearly as costly as it was, say, 2-3 weeks ago when Payton was also hurt. So Payton's healthy, so it doesn't hurt us as bad. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a half unit on the under at 218.5, right? That's my advice to you. I'm also going to put a half unit on the Knicks -3.5, but that's just me doing that because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not advising you to follow me on it. I'm just being transparent with all my bets. I pretty much always bet the Knicks to cover. So I'm going to take Knicks -3.5 and the under at 218.5, half unit apiece. Anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next up, Grizzlies versus Jazz in Memphis. Line open, Memphis getting 5 points at home, so another home dog here. Early money was in on the Jazz, and the line moved from 5 all the way up to 6, but when it hit 6, a ton of sharp money comes in on the whole world bet the Grizzlies. As of noon, 91% of the money on Memphis. Total opened at 226.5. At noon, there was some sharp money in on the over. Number never moved, though. Still at 226.5. First spreadsheet has the Jazz favored by just 1 point here. So a pretty solid lean on Memphis +5. Second spreadsheet says 233 points scored in the game. So another solid lean. This one's on the over. Donovan Mitchell will not play in this game. Obviously, that's a huge factor. He's Utah's leading scorer, arguably their best player, probably their best player. So we have to take that in consideration. All right, so I know the sheet had a lean on the over, but I'm not touching the total without Mitchell playing. I think that'll affect the amount of points scored. So I will be betting Memphis +6 for a half unit, though. I actually think they win this game. So give me Memphis +6 for a half unit. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next game up, Spurs Kings, the rematch from the other night. And the line opened at Spurs -2.5, same as it did the other night. At noon, both bets and money leaning towards the Spurs. Total opened at 230, and some money came in on the over, which jumped it from 230 up to 230.5. Money would even out, and we're still looking at 230.5. First spreadsheet has the Kings slightly favored in like a pick'em, so a slight lean towards Sacramento +2.5 there. Second spreadsheet saying 222 points scored in the game, so that's a pretty solid lean towards the under at 230.5. I have to stick with the Kings here. They've won 5 games in a row now. Gotta stick with them. Give me Kings +2.5 for a half unit. I'm also going to throw another half unit on the under at 230.5. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story next game. Next game is Lakers versus Bucks in LA. The line opened Lakers plus 8.5. Sharp money all over the Bucks, which caused the consensus line to jump from 8.5 up to Lakers plus 9. Total opens at 222, but we did see in the late morning some money come in on the under, so it dropped from 222 down to 221.5. First spreadsheet's got the Bucks favored by 1, so a pretty heavy lean on the Lakers here. Second spreadsheet saying 218 points scored in the game. Way too close to call. I am staying away from the total in this game. Actually, I decided to stay away from this game completely for now. I have no idea how the Lakers are going to look with Andre Drummond in there. I feel like the obvious pick is taking the Lakers plus 8, but is anyone going to be surprised if the Bucks just rout them? I mean, I won't. So I'm staying away. There's plenty of games tonight. No need to force bets. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story, though. So next game. Last game, Suns versus Bulls in Phoenix, and the line opened Phoenix minus 6.5. All the sharp money in the world in on the Suns, 99% of the money. That caused the consensus line to jump from 6.5 up to 7.5. Total is super sketchy in this game, right? So the total opened at 220. Money is in on the over, but the number drops 2.5 points down to 217.5. So now obviously we have 99% of the money on the over. This looks like a complete trap to me. First spreadsheet's got the Suns favored by 6.5. The line's at 7.5 right now. Really no lean there. Check the second spreadsheet out though. It's saying only 190 points scored in the game. That is crazy. That's the heaviest lean I've ever seen on the under. So injuries, we have 2 huge question marks. Zach LaVine is questionable for the Bulls. Kobe White also questionable for the Bulls. So we need answers. Completely healthy, I really like the Bulls plus 7.5 in this spot. But I'm not going to make any decision until I see the injury reports, obviously. I will be putting a half unit on the total on under 217.5 for sure. I'm already going to lock that bet in. If Zach LaVine plays, I probably will throw another half unit on the Bulls plus 7.5. But you're going to have to stay tuned to my Twitter and Instagram. When I know, you'll know. If anything changes, I will tweet it out and put it on my Instagram story. Now let's do the parlay of the day. Parlay of the day, 3 legs. Heat money line, Celtics money line, Kings money line for a total payout of plus 636. A little bit of risk factor involved in this one. I don't advise you play the parlay of the day, but I know all of you are going to anyway. So a lot of games tonight. Let's be smart, pick your spots. Don't take home run swings. We're looking for singles. Let's pick up 2 or 3 units tonight. Keep this positive week rolling. I will talk to you on Twitter. Let's make some money tonight. Swiss out.